You're tuned in to the Metaverse podcast, and this is your host Roy, and I welcome you to a brand new episode. Every week on this show, we aim at making crypto simple by learning about one aspect of the crypto and the Web3 space. Our guest for today is Gabe Salinas, a serial entrepreneur who has worn many hats in the crypto sphere. From trading, hodling, and building his own startups, Gabe has literally seen it all and done it all. Gabe has built his own dApps, NFTs, and he currently runs NFTUrself, which is a platform for creating a personalized digital NFT avatar in the metaverse. Gabe is really passionate about the future of Web3 and what is in it for all of us. Gabe, I really appreciate you taking the time out for speaking today. How's it going?
It's going awesome, Roy. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. And if you're new to this show, do subscribe and follow me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much every platform that you get your dose of podcasts on. Before we start though, just a quick disclaimer. The following content is informational only and none of it should be interpreted as financial advice. So please do your own due diligence before making any moves in the crypto space. With that out of the way, let's get started. Gabe, you have had a really interesting journey so far. I actually went through a bio and I was so impressed by it, but I would love it if you could tell us about your background. Our audience would love to know about you more.
Yeah. So my overall background, I got started in computers. I was building computers when I was 13, which I think a lot of people in the tech world kind of have that similar background. They're just interested in that kind of thing. And when I got closer to 18, 17, this was back when Cisco was big, right? The .com bubble and all that. And at my high school, I had the opportunity to start learning Cisco certified network administrator, CCNA courses. And I thought that I wasn't even going to go to college and I was just going to go right into Cisco. And I took these classes. I was going to get my certificate, blah, blah, blah. So back then, it was 2006, maybe, I think. Back then, it was such a big new thing that you could be a 18-year-old kid coming out of high school. And as long as you had that certification, there were guys who were IT pros for 15 years who didn't have that stuff. You could go out and you make $70,000 a year. Back then, that was a lot of money, right? So I thought I was going to do that. I ended up pivoting. I did an internship the summer before college. And I was in IT. I was in IT in California with this company. It was a mid-sized company, maybe 300-400 employees, and it was terrible, right? Because not only did I got to do the IT stuff, which was really cool, but the worst part was I had to do help desk stuff too, because it wasn't a big enough company to have you had to do both, right? So I had to go help Karen restart her computer because her email wasn't working, and I had to go help Bill because his, computer wasn't turning on and it wasn't plugged in, or, that kind of stuff was terrible. So I kind of moved away a little bit from the tech side when I was 18, even though I had some decent experience, and I still always kept in with it, but I moved more on the science end. I was a strength coach for many years. I owned a gym. I worked with a lot of elite athletes, but in that time, I still had an opportunity to learn some coding and build websites and so on and so forth. And then about 5 years ago was my crypto. You see all these people making money in 2016, 2017. A buddy of mine is a great coder, great programmer. And he and I started building some dApps. And he initially helped me learn how to do that. I didn't know a lot of different languages, but since then I've learned Solidity and PHP and those types of things. So Python. But anyway, so since then we started building some dApps. And I've had a lot of cool and fun stories since then over the past 5 years of crypto.
Let's talk about NFTUrself. So can you tell us more about your venture and how you got started in this space?
Yeah. So it's really interesting. NFTUrself was an idea that I had a while back. And part of the reason why is I actually sold an NFT of myself in 2018 for 10 ether.
Whoa.
Which is crazy, right? Yeah, it's insane. There was this company, this new startup called ETH.town, and they were going to be like this big, huge gaming, thing. They were like one of the first iterations of the metaverse, in my eyes, at least in 2017, whereas now there are tons of them. And they were going to build this whole land where people had their own avatars and they were walking around. It ended up, not happening. But they did launch. They weren't able to do it. Well, they were having like a dice game, like in Ethereum, Polygon, all these. There are a lot of dice games where you can gamble, and basically they were going to say, out of all the people that bought these NFTs from them, they were going to choose 5, if I recall, 5 or 10, I think 5, and they would get a custom avatar, and that NFT would give you profit from that dice game. So everyone who was gambling, you'd get a piece of it, right? I won, right? I won it, and they made me this cool little avatar. I thought it was so cool, right? Because it looked like me, like, I was all dressed up, it was nice. And it never came to fruition. I never saw any of the money from the dice gene, but they called it the dice gene, right, for the game. But I ended up selling it because I kind of saw the writing on the wall, right? In crypto, there are so many companies, and we see this all the time still, so many companies that have these grand ambitions, right? They're going to build the next big thing. They're going to change the world. They're going to change finance, whatever. But a lot of times it's just kind of, lipstick on a pig. Terra did it. I mean, Terra was the biggest one. It was lipstick on a pig. It looked great, and it was going to change finance forever until it went to, less than zero. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall. These people weren't pushing updates anymore. They weren't really as active on Discord anymore. And I'm like, I got to get out, because I thought it was going to be great. And I ended up putting my NFT on OpenSea, and somebody took the chance because they thought they were going to get all the money from the dice game, and they bought it, and then, didn't work out for them. But I hope that person's not listening, because you imagine they're going to be like, that guy, but not my fault, So it's a gamble with everything, So, yeah.
Awesome. To be honest, our audience is also like crazy about the metaverse, and everyone out there seems to have like a different version of it in their heads. Mark Zuckerberg says something else, and somebody else is saying something else. So can you help us understand what the metaverse is, in your opinion?
I don't think that there's a right or a wrong answer. I think the metaverse is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be able to utilize for a lot of things. And I think that's why everyone has a different interpretation of it, because some people want to use it for gaming. Some people might have social anxiety and they want to use it to interact with people, but in the comfort of their own home, right? Some people are going to want to use it for meetings. It's going to be real cool. I can put on my headset and I can go out and I can have a meeting with somebody in Singapore or in Japan or wherever, and we can look at each other, a digital representation of each other, and we can actually have a conversation, and it'll feel a lot more real than like a Zoom call or whatever, I think, who knows, but, so I think there are a lot of different interpretations, and none of them are right. None of them are wrong. I think there's a lot of e-commerce built in too. You can go to a mall, a metaverse mall, and you can buy. So I think there's a lot of different interpretations. I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think a lot of people are going to build a lot of different things. I don't think there's one that's going to win out either. I don't think there's one specific metaverse that's going to win out. I'm sure some are going to be bigger than others, but a lot of people are going to like a lot of different things. One of my favorite things, I've got an Oculus, right? I'm not a video game person, but I bought an Oculus obviously because of NFTUrself, and I want to be involved. And I didn't know what I would think because I don't play video games, but the thing I like the most about it is a boxing game on it. It's a great workout. It's super fun. I used to fight professionally in MMA, right? And I don't anymore. I still do some jiu-jitsu, but I get to box, and you're like boxing a person. Eventually they're going to have it. You can box another person, like a real live person, as opposed to AI. But that's another thing too. Exercise is a big monster thing right now in the metaverse. You put your headset on, and Jimmy Kimmel does it on his show. He puts people in the headset and they play the sword hitting the gems game. I'm not sure what it's called. But my point is there are tons of interpretations. And I think a lot of things are going to be built, and a lot of things are going to be for some people, not for everybody. So there's a lot of opportunity there.
Sure. And I'm sure you have got your eye on some of the top projects in the metaverse. So top of your head, what are the major projects that you think will be successful or have real great potential?
A lot of people make fun of Facebook. I do think Facebook Meta is going to do a thing. I think Oculus is phenomenal. They acquired it. They've built it in public, really, right, for the past, I think, 2 years or so, 3 years. I think they're going to do something really awesome there. Sandbox is a big one. Decentraland, I do think, someone might hate me for that. I think Axie Infinity isn't going to do it. I think they were a first mover advantage. I think they're kind of going to wither away. I could be wrong. Who knows? Roblox is a monster one. I think a lot of, it doesn't have to be a coin necessarily, because a lot of these companies that are publicly traded, they have funding, they have real engineers, they have marketing, they have a lot of help there to grow, right? So, I think it's all over the place. I think there are there are going to be a lot of winners, a lot of losers. One bigger / not as well known project though is Star Atlas. It's like this big multiplayer. It's like a Halo type thing. I think I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I don't game, but this is supposedly going to be this big one. It's on the Solana network. Solana's had some issues recently too, but I'm invested in that. So who knows? Who knows what's going to win? Who knows what's going to lose? No one does.
Absolutely, yeah. We were talking about digital avatars and NFTUrself, right? So you're literally like going after Facebook's money in that case, right?
I don't think so. So one of the things that I wanted to do with that is right now when you look at it, and even on Facebook too, so like Bitmoji, right? You're familiar with Bitmoji, and then Facebook has their own, like, the avatars that they give you are very generic, right? You have blonde hair and you a little darker or lighter complexion and like brown shoes and whatever, right? And I think there are some people who are going to prefer having something a little more personalized. And right now, NFTUrself, you purchase your NFT, you tell us where you want to be, what you want your background to be, what you want to wear, if you want to have a hat on, so on and so forth, right? And we'll build it out for you, and then we'll send it to whatever network you want your NFT to be on. Right now, we have capacity for Ethereum, Polygon, BSC, right? We're going to do Solana soon. Number one, right now, you have a cool looking avatar. You can use it for social media. You can give it as a gift. You can keep it just as your NFT that represent, you can do a lot of different things from an NFT perspective, but eventually you'll be able to integrate it with something like Meta, right? You can import your GLB file. It might not be a GLB, but some version of a 3D file, import it to, for example, Oculus Meta. And now you can have your own avatar instead of the generic, you pick your head and your face and your ears and so on and so forth in Meta now. So I don't see it as competing. I see it more as synergistic, where not everyone's going to want one. Not everyone's going to want to spend the money to have it, but some people will, So that's how I see it.
Absolutely. So in my opinion, like, other brands are also jumping into this, right? So Nike is building like digital shoes, for example. Other brands are building different sort of collectibles as well. So how important do you think it will be to have these personalized digital avatars of our own in the metaverse?
I think not everyone's going to be a part of the metaverse, but I do think a lot of people will. And I think, like I said, I think some people are going to enjoy having an actual customized representation of themselves. And some people are just going to be like, I don't care. I'm just going to use the regular one and change my hair a little bit, and then I'm fine. So, it really depends on, in my opinion, what the person's goal for the metaverse is, right? If they want to go in a metaverse mall, for example, or if they're, they want to just go box on Oculus, they're just going to choose a generic one. But the people who actually want to live in the metaverse, right? Be in it constantly, interact with people, so on and so forth. I think it is going to be an important thing to them to have a digital avatar that people recognize. They're always the one that's wearing a red hat or with the tuxedo on or whatever it may be, but they want to be like that person, right? Something that's not generic, something that stands out so they can be involved in the metaverse.
Absolutely. And personally, I think, in my opinion, I would love it to be something like Ready Player One, straight out of a Steven Spielberg movie, but that's just me. I would love to be that character, but yeah.
For sure. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, there's so many different opportunities out there.
Exactly. What would you like to be? Would you like to be like an MMA fighter in the metaverse?
No, I'm just a regular person, man. I already did the MMA fighter thing, So yeah, I think my version of how I would participate in the metaverse would be maybe shopping. Like I said, I like the boxing thing. I personally, and this is funny for me to say as someone who's involved in trying to, make the metaverse or be a part of the metaverse is, I like interacting with people one-on-one. I like real people, but I think part of that is because I'm a little older now, is not even millennials anymore. I think it's Gen Z, right? They're used to the metaverse. Like their interactions are largely online now. Right? It's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's not even Facebook, right? It's lives, it's all that.
Roblox, Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite, you're exactly right. Yeah. So to them, they're going to be enjoying the digital interaction more than the personal interaction. And I like the personal interaction, but everyone's different, right? And that's why you build for people who will like it. And there will be people who like it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think the crypto world will look like in 5 years? Where do you see it going?
Well, it's a dumpster fire right now, and it's funny. Okay. Well, let me answer your question first. I think it's going to be huge, and I think it's going to be awesome, and I think it's going to be growing, and I think it's going to be healthy, and I think it's going to have another cycle just like this, just like it does every time. And last time we went through this bear market. So, like I said, I was involved. I had my first bull run and bear run 5 years ago. And as everyone knows, right before the halvening, crypto goes up, and then after it tanks. And as crypto's around more, as Bitcoin is around more, there is a longer consolidation process, right? So, like the very first run up might have been 6 months. Next one was a year. Next one was a year and a half. Like that kind of thing. But it's still going to follow the same trajectory, I believe, right? And history has kind of proven that. But it's funny because, when you ask me what's it going to be like, I'm hearing people now, and these are the layman people, like the average people don't really know a whole lot about crypto, right? Crypto is worth nothing. It's a scam, blah, blah, blah. And frankly, a lot of coins are definitely scams. But Bitcoin is not, right? Ethereum is not, so on and so forth. So a lot of people are worried about that. And it's funny because last time in 2018, 2017, when I had friends asking me about crypto and I told them buy XYZ, I like this. And then they lost all their money and then they sold it. And they're like, I just shouldn't have listened to you, but they should have, because if they would have just waited the 3 years and then in 2020 sold it, they would have made a ton of money, right? So, but now same thing, right? At the run up when Bitcoin was $67,000, I've got all these people and like, oh, you told me about Bitcoin. I should have bought some. I'm going to buy some now, right? And then it goes down. You're like, oh, Gabe doesn't know anything. It's like, well, hold on. So I told myself 5 years ago I was never going to talk to anybody about crypto when it came to trading, but they still do, and I still do. It's dumb. But anyway, to answer your question, it's going to be awesome. And I think you should start. I think it's going to come down a little more. Might hit 22, 24, 25, but Bitcoin. But, you start buying. Again, now's the time to buy. Your dollar cost average, you buy 25 a week, 100 a month, whatever you can afford, but you start putting it in there. And one of the really interesting things, I really liked this. I'm not sure who this was, but I've always thought this too, right? So one time I divided all the millionaires in the world, right? You Google all the millionaires in the world and then all the Bitcoin in the world, right? 21 million, but it's not 21 million, right? It's a little less because people have lost, so on and so forth. But I just did it 21 million, and it ended up being like, if you divided like every millionaire in the world between that 21 million, it was like, I think it was like 0.1 Bitcoin or something like that, right? So there might be 210. I can't remember exactly, but the premise was, if you can at least just get 0.1 Bitcoin, just hold on to it, right? In 10 years, 15 years, I think good things can happen for you. And that's not a whole lot of money, right, for anybody. I'm not saying it's not, right, but it's not. And if you can just, scrimp and save 25 here, 30 there, whatever, start growing that little, little Bitcoin nest egg, I think good things can happen,
Exactly. Gabe, you've also seen all the bear markets and bull markets in the last one. You have been a successful trader and hodler yourself. For anybody who is new in the crypto space or just starting out, for example, how would you help them structure their investments? Or let's put it a little differently. What if you won $1 million tomorrow? How would you invest it, and what would your portfolio be like?
I still, if we're talking $1 million, I'd put 900,000 of that, or call it 90% of that after taxes into an index fund, right? Because you still need assets that are making money, that are going to continue to make you money, that are going to pay dividends, so on and so forth. But that being said, I would put 10%, maybe 15%, into predominantly blue chip crypto. And then I would do a few moonshots as well, moonshots that I believe in, so on and so forth. And I think that's the answer for a lot of people. The smartest people that I know and don't know, right, talk about that. The people in hedge funds who have billions of dollars, I think Ray Dalio, I think Paul Tudor Jones, those guys, they've put about 5% of their net worth into crypto, 4%, 3%, so it's not enough to move the needle if it goes all the way down, right? They'll be upset that they lost 5% of their net worth, but it's not going to kill them. But that 5% could eventually be 50% of their net worth because of the way that crypto moves. So I think that's the answer is, you still want to put it in predominantly safe assets. And when I say safe, I don't mean blue chip crypto. I mean VOO, VFIAX, those type of things, Vanguard. But outside of that, 5% of your net worth, 10% if you're a little more risky, should go into crypto, in my opinion. And, 7% of that, 70% of that should be, blue chips. And then 30% should be, some moonshots that you believe in.
Exactly. A lot of our audience is also looking to build in the crypto space, right? So what is that one piece of advice, you being a builder and an entrepreneur yourself in this space, what is that one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's developing something for crypto?
CryptoZombies.io. CryptoZombies.io. That's the move, man. Great resource. What is that? It's not Larva. Loom Network, I think, are the ones that put it out. Crypto Zombies was, as far as I know, I'm sure there's more, but as far as I know, it was the first Ethereum Solidity development tutorial. But what's really unique about it is it's not just reading. You actually have to walk through a step, and you're building these crypto zombie NFTs, right? And learning a lot there. It's really cool. It was around back in 2017, and it's still better than everything out there now, in my opinion. Really cool. And then after that, you just build, right? I mean, there's so many tutorials now you can walk through, and you can find out how to set up an NFT, how to set up a DAO, how to set up so many different things. It kind of walks you step by step. You can walk through it in Visual Studio Code. You can walk through it on Remix for Ethereum. That's really all it is. You just go mess stuff up. I think Facebook's motto was move fast and break stuff, right? And that's what you got to do, is you got to constantly, you're Googling a lot of things. You're trying to figure things out. But that's the best way to do it. And the great part about it is all of these blockchains have test nets. So it doesn't cost any money to go and mess stuff up. That's kind of the point of a test net, right? So crypto zombies, and then just start building stuff. Go through tutorials, start learning, start reading. Great part too. Smart contracts are all open source. Well, not for the most part, right? When they're verified, you can see them all. So you can read them and kind of, and that's what I did initially. You kind of learn like, okay, this works here and this works here and this argument here, so you learn a lot about it just by reading them.
Exactly. We would love to understand about your other startup as well, which is Brolo.me.
Oh, yeah.
Brolo. What is it all about? And I'm really excited to know what you are actually doing in this space.
Yeah, so Brolo is the world's first sleeveless men's polo. And basically the premise for the Brolo is it gets real hot. And, I'll never forget, like 2 years ago, I was golfing with some buddies. And like, it's so hot, you're sweating like a pig. Like, it's ridiculous. And women have sleeveless polos, right? But they're like all the way in, right? And so they don't make any men's polos and men's sleeveless polos. And part of the reason why is because golf is this, like old, rich, white guy, and you got to be all proper and blah, blah, blah. But golf is changing now. Golf is a lot more fun now. It's a lot younger. It's a lot more inclusive. Those old, rich, white guys are kind of, getting pushed out. And now it's cool guys who are hitting bombs and working out and, not as proper. And one of the best golfers in the world, Brooks Koepka, hates golf traditional convention, right? So anyway, that's kind of how that's going. And as golf changes, I was thinking like there needs to be a sleeveless men's polo cut better, comes out a little more on the shoulders for men. It's way more comfortable, especially on a hot day. It's way cooler. And, we have some cool designs and stuff. So yeah, it's been going really well, thankfully. And one of the best parts about it is, it's the golf season now. So we're continuing to grow and I'll show you this because this will be, we haven't announced this yet. This is brand new. This is live. No one's ever seen this. This is one of our brand new designs. In addition to the Brolo accepting cryptocurrency as payment, we're rolling that out next week. To celebrate that, we've got the Bitcoin Brolo, right? We got the moons and the Bitcoin and the rocket ships. So that's the Bitcoin Brolo. That's rolling out next week. Yeah.
How difficult is the process of integrating crypto payments into this existing setup that you have?
That's a good question. It's not going to be hard for me to integrate for Brolo because I've already integrated it for NFTUrself, right? NFTUrself, you can pay in crypto already. For some, there are a lot of different platforms that do it. Like Coinbase does it, Crypto.com does it. They charge a pretty hefty fee as well. I believe, my crypto checkout, if I recall correctly. If not, I apologize, but I think that's it. And basically, you can choose whatever currency you want. You tie it to an address, and that's simple. Boom. Check out. And what's really nice is you don't get hit with fees. Stripe charges 3-something%, whereas if I pay with Polygon, it's going to cost me less than a cent to send the money. So everyone's happy, right? So yeah, it's not a super hard thing to integrate. There's a few pieces that you have to deal with, but by and large, it's not a hard thing to integrate. And I hope more and more people integrate it.
Absolutely. I wish that becomes a standard going into the future. Sure. But yeah, Gabe, I have this question which is bugging me since I started talking to you. How do you actually manage so many projects, man? Like, how are you actually? What are some productivity hacks that you could suggest for us? That how do you manage different businesses?
On a wing and a prayer, man. I'm real blessed. My wife is unbelievable. She gets it. She's a badass attorney, and so she's a hard worker too. And I have had problems in the past. When I used to date other people who they want to monopolize your time, but they don't understand. It does take time to build things. I woke up early to do this podcast, and so there are going to be some sacrifices. I will do a few extra things sometimes here, downstairs in my office or just upstairs while I'm watching TV on my computer. You have to make some sacrifices. As much as I think Gary Vee is annoying, he does make a good point. He's like, if you work your 9 to 5, there's time in the morning and there's time at night, and it's just a matter of, do you want to watch TV or do you want to build something? And when I first started Brolo and NFTUrself too, like my goal was just every day or every week, can I accomplish one thing? And, Thankfully I didn't have investors pressuring me to get something going or whatever. But like every week or every day, can I build one thing? Can I get the tags done? Can I integrate the crypto payments? Can I, whatever it may be, can I work on the SEO? There's so many different things that you have to work on, but as long as I'm checking a box every single time, I'm getting something done. And I used to struggle with that too. Like the whole, people would be like, one of the hardest things, and I just read this yesterday too, it's the truth. You get 90% done with something, that last 10% is 90% of the work. And it really is, because actually hitting the finish line is so big. There's a mental hurdle for it. There's so many different pieces that go into it. And if you can, this has been said many times, people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And if you can just say over the next year, 2 years, whatever, I'm going to constantly be marching towards my goal and doing actionable things that will check boxes, then good things are going to happen. Instead, if you say in 6 months I have to be done or 3 months I have to be done, it's probably not going to happen, right? Because eventually you get too overwhelmed, you're too far behind, and you just quit. So that would be my advice is, just constantly, can I do something every day to get there? Can I do something that'll actually check a box every day or every week? My grandfather was big on that. He always taught me, learn something new every day. And that kind of applies here, right? If you learn something new every day, good things are going to happen. If you don't, they probably won't, right? So that's kind of the ethos I live by is, can I do something every day? Yeah, that'd be a big thing. And I'll leave with this too. I just saw this yesterday. I loved it. It's you learn a lot more playing the game than reading the handbook. And what that means is you're going to learn a lot more building something, even if it never gets off the ground, even if you never sell anything, you're going to learn a lot more building something than just reading a ton of books. I used to do that. I used to just read and read and read and read. And especially it's like, you can only read so much, right? You can only read so many entrepreneur books or self-help or whatever you want to call them. But you just got to build something. And it could be a lot of different things. And you can f it up tons of times. But just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. You're going to learn so much. You're going to learn so much for your next venture if that first one doesn't work. And most importantly, one thing that I've really seen in myself the past year is your reality changes, right? Initially, it's like, I just hope I can sell something online and make $1,000 from strangers, right? And then you're like, man, $1,000, screw that, let's go. So that's really it. But a lot of people will never sell anything for $1,000 in their life online to a stranger, right? When you start doing it, it's like, okay, I can do more, So, but the only way that your reality changes like that is if you actually do it and do the work. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was very long-winded. Sorry.
No, it was a great tip for us. And I think it's something that everybody needs to focus upon, doing things rather than just thinking about how it is done, right? So
that's the truth. That's the truth.
Is there any mentor or any role model that you kind of followed, or did you have any such person you find interesting or you followed them in your life?
I will say I do have one who's like a father to me. I love him to death. He's 70 years old. He's a hard worker and he's helped me a lot. But I'd also say, it's tough to find friends in your own circle who are striving for growth and more and to be better and learning and so on and so forth. It's just hard to find that, I think, anywhere in the world within your circle of friends. One thing that I would say has really helped me out in changing my reality too is I've joined a few like entrepreneur groups. They're paid groups on like Facebook or whatever, and that's been really helpful because all of a sudden you're in this circle of people who are all striving for more, who are all trying to be better, and you hear their problems, you hear their solutions, you hear their wins, you hear their losses, And it changes your reality a little bit there too. You're like, man, there are all these people doing all this cool stuff. They're not just going to their 9-to-5 job and, whatever. So I think that has been integral in my growth over the past 2 years too, is being around people who may not be doing the exact same thing as me, but they are doing the exact same thing as me in the sense of they're building things, right? And that's really cool. That's really cool. So I think that's been one of the biggest helps, not necessarily a mentor, but just being around people. And it's tough to find people who are just your friends that you know face to face or whatever. So I went out and I tried to find them elsewhere, and I kind of have. I've had some real cool conversations with people, and I think that's been really helpful.
Awesome. On that note, I think, Gabe, thank you so much for speaking with us today. And I especially loved how simple you made it for us to understand what you've been doing, understand how your projects are working, about the NFTs and about Metaverse. Thank you for sharing these insights. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors as well.
Yeah, you too, Roy. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it, and best of luck with everything in the future, brother.
Thank you so much.